So this video is sort of an extra. I don't consider it to be part of the essential nature of the course, but it can clear up something that you saw happen right at the end of the last video. In the last video, I wanted to add in this idea of having the three fish only get eaten when the shark when it was touching a shark and when it was healthy enough to eat. In other words, when the eating was off because it had eaten the crab, then it wasn't eating. And that meant I had to change it in fish 1, and change it in fish 2, and change it in fish 3. Yet realistically, there's nothing different about fish 1, 2, and 3. The only difference right now is the costume, and even that's not really a huge difference. And while it's really simple on the surface to make copies of fish, if I wanted to add a fourth fish in here, right, I could very easily right-click on this and say duplicate and say cool. Now I've got this fish, and even if I changed it to a new costume, it would have the same behavior. That's all easy until you discover that you did something wrong or you want to add something and you now have to make multiple changes. And so what I want to show you is the use of clones and how we can use clones in the end to only have one piece of code for the fish sprite, but still have multiple fish swimming around in my sea, in my aquarium. And to really kind of help you dig in on this for a second, I'm going to save this, and I'm going to come out and I want to show you a really simple piece of code that is just a demo to show you how clones work. So here's a really simple clone demo. In this particular demo, I've gone back to Scratchy Cat on a white screen. It says when the green flag is pressed, go to the middle of the stage and wait 2 seconds, just so you can see kind of that places everybody. And then 4 times I want Scratchy Cat to go to a random position on the screen and make a copy of itself. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is every time a clone starts, it's going to 10 times dance back and forth. So let me show you how that works. Let's hit run. Places everybody goes to the middle. He randomly goes to 4 places, and now each sprite dances back and forth 4 times. Right? And that's kind of cool. You may notice that right here in the middle there's something that's not moving at all. That's because I made 4 copies of myself, but I still am in existence as Scratchy Cat. And so it's actually really common to add to the end of a creation of some clones the hide block. In other words, you sort of use yourself just as the template, but the clones are the only thing we see. And so now when I run this, go to the places, and now I have these 4 sprites that dance around on the screen. And they can all act independent of each other. If you want to sort of see that they can act independent of each other, let's have each one repeat some random number of times and wait some random number of times. Wait some random number of times between its dance. And so now they won't all dance in unison. We get 4... wrong buttons, sorry. Nothing like hitting the wrong button right in the middle of my video. I need to fix my places, everybody. I hid this guy, but I want him to show at the beginning. So we're going to come back here. Sorry, places, everybody. Show and go all there. And now we can see that when he goes, we have 4 sprites, and each one is going to dance in it. See there, when this one's wiggling. This one's wiggling because all of these times are different. They're all independent of each other. 1 to 10 was maybe too long. 10 was probably longer than I wanted to be. So that's the idea of a clone. Well, now let's look at how we can apply that back in this idea of the fish chomp game when we want to add some clones. So let's make a quick copy of this game and add in some clones. So here's my original game again. I want to save a copy using clones. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the main gut of my game and say, rather than say when I receive game, start moving, I want this to be what the clone does. Each clone is going to randomly move around on the screen looking for the shark and getting eaten. And so we're going to change this The clone blocks are actually under control rather than events, which is a little weird because this looks like an event block, but it's actually a control block. When I start as a clone, do this. So let's do this. When I receive the game command, I want to temporarily, we want to basically copy what you just saw over in that small demo. I want to show, I want to 3 times, because I had 3 little fish in here. I want to 3 times go to some random position on the screen and make a clone of myself. And then after I've made 3 clones, I want to hide this thing out. And so this will allow me to have 3 fish swimming around independently on the screen, right? And right now you say, well, yeah, but they're all the same fish. I wanted the different fish. I wanted them not to look all the same. And that's not a problem. Let me just hit stop. The simple answer is, I've got multiple costumes. I want each sprite that I ever make to be a slightly different fish. And so what I can do is to add to this the idea that when I repeat 3 times, go to a random position, create a clone of myself, and then before you go on, switch my costume to the next costume. And so now, right, 3 different fish. And that's really about all there is to it. Now, if I later decide that these fish aren't behaving the way I need them to do, right? I need to change something here. Oh, this isn't enough. I want it -20 to +20. I only have to change it once. All of my fish now change from -20 to +20 because they're all based off of this one clone of itself down here. And so that's the way you can use clones to eliminate the need to change multiple copies of the same sprite.